This podcast provides a platform that will share many different points of views that should empower you, uplift you, make you want to go out and do right. When you hear the term still a man, say, yes, I am. Still a man. Yes, I am. Still a man. Yes, I am. Let's go.
People, it's Tuesday night. Welcome to another exciting edition of the Still a Man podcast. Tonight, we are going to be discussing, is the pandemic truly over? And what I mean by that is everything that took place in the pandemic, leading up to the pandemic and after the pandemic. So it's open season on all things pandemic. I want people's feelings. Again, let's have a nice discussion. Let's dissect this as only we can. Let's start up. But first, before we get started, shout out to Election Day. This is Election Tuesday, so shout out to everybody that went out and voted. If you didn't, there's still time. I don't know how you're gonna do it, but if you do so. And that's just that, and we're going to leave that where that is. All right, now I digress, get back to the topic. We're going to talk about the pandemic. So we're going to start with, we're going to let the ladies go first. Rachel, let's get you into the conversation.
Rachel's going to join us back in a second. She had to go. We got my mother in the building.
All right, so we're going to go with the ladies on the panel. Keisha, I'm going to let you start it off. How do you feel about the pandemic, and do you feel the pandemic is truly over?
No, I don't feel like it's truly over, David. First, because I work in a hospital and they're still coming in with COVID like crazy.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of business is still down. A lot of businesses went out of business because of this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And it's definitely not over.
Okay.
And I don't know when it's gonna be over, but it ain't over.
All right, we got one for it's not over. Tanya, what about you?
Nope, it's not over.
Nope.
My daughter just had COVID, so no, it's not over.
Hitting home, close to home.
Mm-hmm.
Patsy?
Yeah, I don't think it's over either because it's like too much going on. And I think this is something that's gonna you have to do something every year to prevent you from getting COVID or at least subside it, like the flu.
Okay, so we heard from Keisha, we heard from Tanya, we heard from Patsy.
We got Josie.
Josie?
No, I don't think it's over. I feel like it's still in effect, like seriously in effect. I'm working, and where I'm working at, people are still coming back saying they are testing positive. We just recently had a booster clinic, and people are starting to get sick off of that. And I'm just more or less like, what's really going on? However, the world is still moving on as if it's over.
All right. Let's get the gentleman's view on this. Mr. Brimage, how do you feel about this? Do you believe the pandemic's over?
No, the pandemic's not over. I think that it's going to be part of our life for a long time. It might just stay there forever. It might not be as strong as it was when we first came across it. Everyone got sick and a whole bunch of people was dying. I think that it's just going to be here. It's going to come as a common cold or a flu eventually.
Okay, common cold. All right, Bert?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
I believe we are no longer in a pandemic phase of COVID. We are not reached those type of numbers. And like SpongeBob said, people aren't necessarily dying like right now as they were when we first encountered it. So they considered this a pandemic due to the mass numbers of illness and death. And we're not there anymore. And they've lifted all of, a lot of mask restrictions. They lifted all of that because the numbers aren't there anymore. So yes, the pandemic phase of COVID is over. COVID is still alive and still getting people sick, but not to the mass that it was and not to the severity as it was. So pandemic is over.
Okay. So Bird feels it's over. Gregory, how you feel about it?
I'm not gonna call it the pandemic. I'm gonna call it the plandemic. And I think it's still in live effect because these people are crazy. The quote Thomas Edison, me and Uncle Rob looked this up the other day. The world is sick because these people want you to be sick. That's why every year the flu is mutating. So these are mutations. They're here to stay. Smallpox. I mean, what is it called? Monkeypox is here to stay.
Mhm.
COVID's here. It's here to stay because it's a mutation. Now you got to get used to it because you got these crazy people in the lab making this stuff.
Mm-hmm. All right. Timmy? You gotta turn your mic on.
Yeah, I agree with Bird. It's not. The pandemic's over, but they know how to deal with it now. But that's all it is. It's like, well, goddamn.
Go on, whoever that is, and mute
That
that.
sounds real serious, whoever
Yeah,
whoever
sound
is
like a car accident. Yeah, it's just that they know more how to. It's just like any other disease. It comes, it take out people, then they find the cure for it, and then next thing you know, you have to take vaccines for these type of diseases so it don't recur. At least you be covered where you won't be it get sick or get ill or die like the people who didn't get the vaccines or booster. Even if you do get sick, you're not going to die. So that's the biggest thing about it now.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so I just want to be fair and make sure we got everybody.
Is Sean here?
He's here.
All right,
Sean
Sean.
to the building. Excuse me, Kiana just joined us.
Okay, Sean, you go first, and then we'll come back to Kiana.
All right. I'm gonna piggyback on what Bird said. The phase of the pandemic, the reason why it was even called the pandemic. Answer to the question is, do I think the the pandemic is over? I think the phase of the pandemic is over because it is it's affecting the economy, but it hasn't shut it down completely like it had did once before. That's why it was called the pandemic. But the COVID, all that is still alive, and I believe is going to be here, just like any other diseases that we've had in our past.
Duchess?
Okay, so I didn't get the question. It was
So do you do you believe the pandemic is truly over?
no, I do not. Right now we're in yeah. We have like 3 things going on at one time, and that is going to affect a hospital capacity. And so, no, we're not. So we have the flu going on, COVID as well, and with children, but it affects adults as well, mostly older adults, is RSV. So no, I do not believe the pandemic is over.
And okay, so let's go back to the did I get everybody?
Yeah, I believe so.
All right, let's go back to the origin. of this. Now, when COVID first hit the scene, it was something. I guess there was quiet conversations about it initially, and then it went from it was categorized as what, an epidemic first, and it wasn't a concern, and then it got enhanced to a pandemic. Duchess, what's the difference between an epidemic and a pandemic?
An epidemic is a disease that affects a large number of people within a community or population or region. A pandemic is an epidemic that is spread over multiple countries or continents.
And so, who can we blame for the current state of affairs? I mean, how did we get to this point? I mean, how did it escalate to this? Did it spiral out of control?
China.
Oh, okay, so Bird, you said China. So elaborate.
They had COVID in China, Italy, all of that before it hit the United States. China is the origin. China invented Corona. You look on a 2018 can of Lysol and it says it fights coronavirus. This has been out for quite some time.
So can I say this? Because you just said that. It was created in the lab in Wuhan under Obama research. So it comes from China. He's not lying.
So who do we give the finger? Who we pointing the finger at? I mean, we said China, and you said it was something that was created in the Obama laboratory. So you tell me
it was us. We was over all our jobs. They had those jobs over there in China, and they was over there doing research on COVID-19, and somehow, like always, it's an outbreak.
Okay, so
one of those scientists came back here with it.
Can I say something?
Go ahead, jump in.
Because I did a little research on this earlier today.
Let's clean it up.
It started actually with SARS, not COVID, SARS. And SARS was like acute acute respiratory disease. And it started in China. It was a epidemic first because it covered North America, South America, Europe, and Asia.
Mm-hmm.
But they put steps into place and they got it under control. So this was in 2002 to 2003. By the end of 2003, they had tamped it down. They had controlled it.
Mm-hmm.
Moving forward, 2018, 19, they over there doing testing, like they said, they was over there testing as part of a program that they was trying to get the United States prepared for future pandemics.
So SARS happened in 2000, right, Sonia? And then 2010, what happened? The Asian bird flu and stuff, right? And then they had what? H1N1?
Mm-hmm.
A couple of years after that, and then they had the swine
mosquito.
flu. Oh no, the swine flu was before H1N1. That came from the swine flu.
Mm-hmm.
Triple E.
Craziness. It's all bizarre.
So cite your sources. Where can we find this information? Where did you find this information?
I mean, people lived through it. You don't remember that?
That's not.
You don't remember SARS? They had all the Chinese people wearing the mask in China when it first broke out there, and then the Asian bird flu broke out there. They all had the mask on again.
But I'm curious because you just gave dates. I mean, you gave years and stuff like that.
So
so that's why.
So he's asking you and Tanya.
I'll fact check it
what
for you
site,
real quick, and I'll come
what
back.
What site could you go on?
My information. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
He want to know what site could you go on and find dates.
I got my information off the CDC and the WHO.
There you go. That's what I wanted. I wanted to know where our viewers can find this information for those that were not aware of these things. So do you guys believe this is a common thing? because I've heard issues. I've heard mutterings about the Obama administration had things in place to protect us against this for future administrations to follow. And when Corona hit the scene, the powers that be at that time discarded the blueprints as to how to handle.
Why you think he had the resource to do what he did rapidly because of what Obama did? That's the only
But
reason
no,
why
no,
they
no.
responded rapidly.
I'm sorry. Go
Yes,
ahead, Tim.
yes. And then the corona, they knew about it because of the military game. And when all the certain soldiers was going over there for the military games and they came back to the United States sick, that's when they knew about corona. But the president at that time didn't want to look like a fool, so he downplayed it.
So again, just so we clear for our viewers, can you name the individuals that you're referring to? Instead of saying they and them, can you state their names?
Meaning what president?
What
What
president are
president?
you referring to?
Uncle.
Listen, Obama administration had the
So you
playbook.
know Donald Trump.
All right, go ahead, Tanya.
They had the playbook. That's why they was doing all that research and that testing. They wanted to create the playbook on the do's and the don'ts when the pandemic comes. To have the stockpile stocked up for everything that you need. But when Trump came into office, he took everything that Obama did and reversed it. Like the playbook that they had, he got rid of it. So that
this is why it's the Truman Show. Because
let her finish.
When the pandemic came to play, he knew about it, but he purposely downplayed it because somebody told him it would make or break his administration. He wasn't equipped enough because he threw out the playbook, he didn't know what he was doing. And he was only thinking about his re-election. So he kept everything under wraps. If you look at the playback, everything that happened, if he would have came out and had us wear the mask, follow the CDC guidelines, I don't think it would have been as bad as it was. It's because he weaponized everything. He weaponized the CDC. He weaponized every aspect of the response. He weaponized the people, telling them that a mask won't help. He just put chaos into the field. That's why we got all these people dead. Hundreds of thousands of people are dead because of him.
Population control.
Can I front on that?
China issues to control the population. They put out a virus and kill half their population out there.
I was about to say, this is almost mirroring it.
Learning from China. This is how they try to. This is what they have to do to control their population because they're having more kids than they're supposed to.
Well, that's actually not true because they have a law that you can only have 2 kids, because they want you to have more boy children. So
they're killing off the old people with the virus, so they can make room for the younger people to come in. These old people out there in China live until they're 100.
That's because they have a better healthy. They have better healthy living.
Yeah, but that adds, that keeps the numbers the same. You can't have more people into the world, into their country, until some people are dead. They were killing off
they're
most
still
of the older
actually
people.
dealing with COVID as well. They're not even letting people into China because they still are dealing with the effects of the pandemic.
Right. They're keeping that. They want to get some of them numbers down, so have more babies.
So let me ask you a question. So I'm hearing population control, and I'm also hearing this was a failure to give proper information to arm people. Knowledge is power. So
no, can I say this? I was just gonna come back with
almost
that
like Holocaust.
The fact check for y'all. The fact check. This is mirroring the Asian bird flu. For some reason, the Asian bird flu was being cooked up in a lab, and this is on the CDC's thing. It was being cooked up in a lab in Hong Kong in 1996, and then it hit the people in 2003 to 2005. So it's the same thing with the research for Obama. It's not that hard to see that these people are doing it. It's a controlled situation, like he said, it's population control.
So again, so if we listen to what your fact checks are saying, and what others are saying about Trump, who is the blame? Is it Obama or is it Trump? Or is it China?
It's your government. It don't matter who the face is. They want a fall guy.
Okay, so what if it's just a factor pertaining to the earth? What if it's not man? It's just earth.
Can I
Go ahead, jump in.
The conspiracy theorist for a second?
Go ahead and jump in.
So if it's supposed to be population control and, you know, let's get rid of the elderly people, most of them. By accounts, most elderly people, and not all, but they lean towards a Republican stance. So if you get rid of your population that would more or less vote for you and you're trying to seize and keep control, that is opposite of the effects that you would want.
It's
Just
not
some
the
food for thought.
Republicans doing it. It's the whole, you got the
Well,
left.
I mean, but
You
again,
got the
a
left and the
Republican
right
had the
wing, and they fly the
he
eagle
had the
together.
option to better control it, but he turned a health problem into a political problem.
Mm-hmm.
Hundreds of millions of dollars was saved with the death of hundreds of thousands of elderly throughout this pandemic. All of those social security benefits, all of that goes right back into the government's pockets. They probably made billions off of this COVID.
Now, you guys,
if you're elderly dying, you know what dies with that? Knowledge. People that have stories to tell the young. You get what I'm saying? So it's strategic stuff going on.
Well, it's also with losing our elderly. Also, those are the people that have lived through other type of pandemics. So they also have those type of recuperative skills, you know, to combat those things like those vaccines, to combat those viruses and stuff, the antibodies and stuff. They lie within in them. So again, if I was to believe there was some type of worldwide conspiracy, I mean, then that means that everybody, like Gregory said, the government as a whole, the worldwide government.
This isn't a conspiracy. Look it up in the CDC records, yo.
Let me finish. That may be so, but that implies that the world government was all involved. That means that all of them had a meeting and got together and said, hey, let's put all our differences aside and let's ignore the obvious and let's allow the world to be contaminated.
That's what I was gonna say myself too, David. Is say if it was like a conspiracy like around the government, we are not the only ones that have a lot of people dying. There was multiple countries across this entire earth on each and every continent that had people dying, including China. So yeah, it is like all these countries, including ourselves, they got together and was like, okay, let's just let this fly. And then of course Trump, he flew with it and made a racial comment with what he said about instead of calling it the coronavirus, he called it what he did.
Hey, Mia, mute your phone for us, please. What's
Sorry.
up, Mia? It's cool.
I'm trying to figure out what the subject is. Sorry, guys.
Somebody text me never mind. Patsy, continue. I'll text me it. Go ahead.
Yeah, so like David was saying, it's like all these governments were getting together like in a secret meeting or texting each other or calling each other and be like, okay, boom, 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 let's let this just route it out and because there were people dying worldwide, not just in this country. You know.
You have heard of the United Nations, right?
Exactly.
You
That's
do
what
know
I'm
that the
saying.
world is a pyramid scheme.
Oh
There's
shit.
somebody at the top controlling that.
Yes.
Man,
So
who's that?
again, and let's be clear about this.
A
These
group of
are
people.
let me say this to you guys just for all intent and purpose. These are the views of and perspectives of the attendees. They in no way reflect on the platform or the Still a Man podcast. So this is why I'm telling you guys cite your sources and stuff like that and name names. However, let's have a come to Jesus moment. Time to play some truth. How many people were sitting in front of their TV when they heard the Donald say that it would probably be in your best benefits. Now I'm going to paraphrase to ingest bleach. Is that the right statement, Duchess?
That's the right statement.
Okay, thank you, Tanya. And can someone tell me what it reads on a bleach bottle?
Do not ingest.
Okay, so it tells you not to do that, right? So our beloved commander-in-chief went on worldwide TV and said that it would be in your best interest to ingest bleach. And if he didn't say ingest, it was inject. But either way, it could be fatal. So again, I said this to someone else. Unless the beloved Donald had a profession or degree in science, then why is he in a position to overwrite anything that the doctors and the scientists were saying? Because someone correct me if I'm wrong, but was that not what he was doing?
No, or could that have been a form of population control on the side, on the sneak?
No, it was him just being full of himself because he got to be the center
Some
of
Waco,
attention.
Texas shit.
Mm-hmm.
I'm with you
I
on that
don't
one,
believe
Bird.
he told them to drink bleach or ingest it. He said something about a treatment, which was a chlorine treatment.
No, it wasn't a treatment. It was because they said that would kill the germs that was on the surfaces and everything. And he was saying that if it does something like that, why don't we inject it if it kills it on the,
if it kills the surface, it'll get the job done in the inner side.
No,
yeah, that was his
And I was gonna say to you, you eat a whole bunch of stuff, and the ingredients in it you're not supposed to eat.
But
what
let
are
me
you
ask
talking?
you,
This is madness. Y'all are mad at this
but let me ask you this question. all of us are intelligent individuals, right? Adults. And now I have to ask you this, and Gregory, I'm going to ask you this because you just said we eat a lot of things that we're not supposed to eat based upon the ingredients.
And the CDC and the FDA approve of it, and they let you eat rat meat in your burger. They found it all in the burgers. No bullcrap. I ain't gonna lie to you.
That may be so.
And then there's stuff you can't read on the back of the ingredients that is dangerous. It's chemicals. No bullcrap.
That may
be
so.
And stuff.
That may be
fluoride is in your toothpaste. You're not supposed to ingest that, but you brush your teeth with it. Your teeth bleed. That's an open area.
You can say all that, but I'm still going to ask the question. That may be so. Did you or was you foolish enough to listen to the mutterings of a madman that told you that it was safe to ingest bleach?
I told you, he said something about chlorine. It's a treatment. I don't know.
Okay, chlorine or bleach or whatever he said.
He's mixing two things up.
Rid of COVID.
Gregory is mixing two things up. That's what he's doing.
Okay, so I'm gonna ask someone else the question because I feel like that Mr. Lacey is purposely evading the question. Tanya, was you foolish enough to listen to the mutterings of the madman when he suggested that since the bleach or chlorine kills most viruses and germs on surface, that it would be, good to ingest a bleach or chlorine?
No, because I have common sense. But
Okay.
what Gregory is talking about, there was some study. I can't think of what the name of the medication is. But it's something like chloride or chlor
Listen,
something.
Donald Trump came out and
Can
said
I
he was.
speak?
Yes, he said he was talking about what you're talking about, though.
All right, so let her finish. Go ahead, Tanya. Go ahead, Tanya. You have to take your phone off of mute.
Hit mute with my hand because I was waving my hand. He was promoting this as a form of treatment, but the research shows that it didn't affect the COVID at all. It was just a waste of it didn't have any effect. It was what he was trying to promote was useless, and he was promoting it because he had stock in the company.
Now, and let me ask you this question too, because if I'm not mistaken, hold on 1 second. If I'm not mistaken, wasn't there a situation where his team came back and said the president was being sarcastic when he made that remark? He didn't expect nobody to actually do it. Wasn't something along those lines?
Yeah, the bleach. Yes,
exactly.
I'm gonna go out on a limb and be against what everybody else said. When he said that, I believe that he was seriously, like he was serious when he said it, but he was seriously joking because he knew that there was stupid people in the world that would listen to that and do that, knowing daggone well that he didn't believe what he just said.
Okay, so Sean, you basically support what I was looking for. So basically, what Tanya said too, there are some foolish people out there that would have,
and he knows that because Donald, the as you call him, the Donald, I believe to the day he dies that he believes that he is the greatest and the smartest person in the world, and that he can make people do whatever he wants them to do whenever he wants them to do it.
Well, thus far, again, he is a part of the pandemic. He's a big factor, as it relates to the pandemic, and so far he's been what you just said. He has gotten a legions of people to follow him and do what he suggested to do, even if he alluded to it. They will do the things, hence the storming of the Capitol building, the insurrection, but I digress. That's another subject. Now I gotta ask you guys.
Not just to put more people in the hospital and overwork the hospitals that's already dealing with the pandemic, with people who's sickly from the COVID. Then you got idiots who's doing what he say to do, and then they dumb behind, end up in the hospital needing treatment.
All right, so I gotta ask you guys this next question. So, because they told you there was nothing to worry about, then you started seeing footage on the news of bodies being stacked up, and the funeral homes weren't able to, the morgue and stuff wasn't able to house these bodies and stuff, and they was like what, picking them up and packing them in semi trucks. Did that not alarm you? Sean, did that alarm you when you saw this footage on TV?
What do you mean alarm me as far as what?
Did it make you fear what was being said to you? Did it make you question the severity of what was being said on TV regarding the corona and its effects?
I don't think I don't think I was ever in fear, because what they were saying and what I was trying to not investigate, but like research on my own. I mean, I took it very serious, and for it to reach the levels that it reached, I think it was just overwhelming because us regular people didn't know how to handle it, where the government was controlling how we were supposed to handle it.
Mm-hmm.
I had this conversation with somebody, and I'll make this real brief. I look at this situation the same way how I looked at when AIDS came out.
Mm.
When AIDS came out, there was a cure for it. They had known about this virus for years before the public was ever hit with it, know anything about it, this and any other. And because it's a political thing, because it's a control thing, the information that we need, we don't get because they're still fighting in the offices. And I believe that's what was happening here.
So you telling me these bigwigs are having situations where it's a battle of willing, because their will is, the struggle is to keep it from becoming public consumption. So until they hash out their issues, then the public is usually the ones that suffer from it.
Because it's about money and credibility.
I mean, I think that questions the credibility of the people that we elect into office. Because if they would put their own personal financial gains before the health of society, the public, then we need to revisit and give it some real thought about who we electing. So
that's the true definition of power.
Yep.
So let me ask you guys this question: who went out and bought masks during this in the beginning of this? When they told you to wear a mask, I'm gonna go around. Patsy, did you buy masks? Did you stock up on masks?
Yeah, I got like the cloth masks, for myself, so that way because like it was mandated for you to wear masks no matter where you go, like out in the street, in the stores, no matter where you went. So yeah, I got some masks.
Okay, Josie, did you go out and stockpile on masks? What did you do? You gotta turn your mic on.
I didn't have to. I was always working throughout the whole process. So, and I also was given masks, so I didn't really ever have to pay. However, I did purchase a lot of like fashion masks, but I always had the medical, K9, all of those, yeah, it was always.
Okay, Bird, what about you?
Yeah, I got issue. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
I work for the Boston Public Health Commission. I got masks. I gave masks. I gave spray. I gave everything I had out. What they was giving me. I was well prepared. I still got masks.
Say that again.
He said he still got masks.
So let that be known. Those of you that are in need of masks, you can hit Bird up. It might cost.
We didn't say that.
Well,
what are you talking about, David? You don't volunteer me for nothing. No, I'm just playing. If somebody's in need, I do the best I can to make sure I can get you something.
Anybody need boxes and masks? I got them.
All right.
I can just get them from work.
So to all our viewers, somebody on the Still a Man our platform, the panel, has you covered. So all you gotta do is just leave something in the comment section, either on our YouTube page or on the Facebook pages, either Dr. Parish or S.A.M or any of the pages that are affiliated or any of the panel members, and we'll do what we can to get you all those things. Now, so we talked about the pandemic and how people was affected by it. How many people were basically stuck in the house? Did not come out the house. Their fear paralyzed them. They stayed in the house. Anybody?
I worked clean through that.
I stayed in the house, not because, well, partly because of fear, only because of my condition.
Mm-hmm.
I was considered one of those at-risk people. But I had everything I needed. I had masks, I had gloves, I had cleaning supplies. I still wear my mask and stuff today.
So okay, that's a good thing. So because of your condition, let's talk about that. So it was said right in the very beginning, the information kept changing. So who did they say first was at risk?
The elderly.
Mm-hmm.
And people that have like underlying conditions.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
And they
I
also
fall under myself too because I got the pulmonary hypertension, congestive heart disease. It's yeah.
so because we were told those were the people who were at risk and stuff like that, at one point it alienated the elderly too. So some for their safety, how many people stayed away from the elderly family members to try to preserve their life?
I did, and I was sick. I was sick.
We all did it somewhat because we had a conversation about the pandemic's out of control and we got to get over there and see mommy and uncle and the rest of them because it felt like we was leaving them out. You wasn't going over there showing them no love. So
And don't forget about our dad.
and dad too. So I mean, we experienced that. Just felt like they was um left out of getting the love that they was getting before the pandemic took place.
I think
God rest daddy's soul, but he used to say, don't come by because you can see me on the outside. However, with my mom, it was more or less like,
so
everyone was fragile. So it was more or less like we gotta stay away. And it was a lot. It was a lot for the family.
So I want to ask the young people, the younger people on the panel. G. Lacey, you still with us? How did your circle deal with it? Did y'all believe this was real? Did y'all continue to live your life as such, or did y'all mask up? And what was the mindset of your people, your circle, your generation?
I was working when it first happened. I was working. I kept my mask on, but then somewhere out of nowhere, I think Donald Trump hit everybody with them checks, and then everybody wasn't working. And I was like, why am I working? And then I was looking around, but I was seeing everything that you were saying about the bodies on the news and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But then you go to your Instagram and they said all these people were being piled up in bodies in New York. And then the people from New York saying that didn't happen. So it makes you think about what am I seeing on TV right now? And for even you saying that people were staying in the house, that should let you know that that's a form of population control. They're controlling the population. Think about the Georgia Guidestones. They got rid of them because this pandemic that was supposed to control everybody, it didn't work. No bull crap. So if you ever heard of Agenda 21, they switched it to Agenda 31 now. These aren't conspiracy theories. You need to go look it up. This is real information for you to look up. You can go look it up yourself. These are files from the government. They're doing this stuff.
Okay, so it's public consumption. So you're saying you can find these reports and stuff. They're accessible to the public?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so then it sounds like we got some homework to do. And I would say all of us, because I think that it's important for us to be mindful about the things that are being stated. And if you don't know, then you should make it a point to learn more about it. So I will be fact checking, even just for my own mindset, peace of mind, where I would like to know about some of these issues too, so I could be more informed about them. So I'm gonna ask you this. So all you people got kids, the majority of you. So I'm gonna tell you guys like my interaction with my daughters. It was a very awkward time because I wasn't going to see nobody at first. I was in my house. Church shut down and everything. I was concerned about all my people, all my extended family, and it was like you check in and stuff like that, and a lot of things we took for granted during normal times. Some people you didn't talk to, you suddenly had a need to talk to them. So with my daughters, we had this thing called Daddy Daughter Day. So we would get together once a month just so we have a reason for just getting together, having a meal, and laying eyes on one another. When the pandemic came, that came to an abrupt halt. I was bothered by that. But at the same time, it was like I was nervous because I felt like I don't know what to believe, what's going on. So when my children, because the young people, they have a different mindset about things, they pulled up on me because they felt like they need to do a house call. And I had to put my fears aside. But I would tell you this, I'm gonna paint you a picture. When my children came in, they came in to have a meal with me, and I had a mask on. And they had their mask on. And at some point, everybody was looking at one another like, who's gonna take their mask off first? So, needless to say, we took off our masks, we had a meal, but right afterwards, it was like, ready, set, go. Open up the window, spraying Lysol and all this other stuff, and I felt bad for them. But I felt like I was trying to procure, my health, good health. So I was scared. I don't know about anybody else. Anybody else was scared?
I was petrified. Shoot.
Yes.
Just say it. Because when my son came from Ohio to see me, and I told him that he had to have a mask on, like Ohio, it was really bad in Ohio.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You're not coming around me without no mask on. I don't care if you are my husband. I don't know who you dealing with outside of me. I don't know if you keeping a mask on when you're talking to other people, when you're in your circle of influence. So I was like going to that extreme. Like when you come in here, you gotta have a mask on. Elbow tap me. Can't kiss me. Elbow tap me.
I was petrified. My grandbaby caught that mess, and she was only a whole baby. And she was over her other people's house. That's where she came home with it. And Ronnie caught it, and he had it on the baby shower, and nobody knew. And he could have gave everybody that mess.
I'm gonna say this to you. For those of you who don't know it, you stay prayed up. Somebody's got you in their prayers, because this could have been a whole lot worse for everybody involved.
Exactly.
So definitely prayer works, and as Tanya said too, common sense. Because I gotta ask you guys this question. When you saw other people not wearing the mask and stuff like that, did you discard your mask?
No, I talk trash. Like they know they need to put that mask on.
Okay. So, because we're all knowledgeable, now the next thing that came down the pipe was the vaccine. And I think at some point when it was like more the people of color was susceptible to the virus, or am I mixing this up?
No, they said that the people of color were more
They said
susceptible.
it's
They were
coming
the
to a
ones who were
neighborhood
dying.
near you.
So they said we were more susceptible.
We
to
were
the virus.
we were the ones that had the higher percentage of deaths.
And that was being so due to what? What was their reason there for saying such?
Because most were diabetes and or obesity. They most of us had the pre conditions.
Yeah, due to our condition of living.
Yeah.
Our lifestyles. So I'm gonna say this to you guys, right? So they said the elderly was at risk, people with underlying health conditions, and people of colors. But who was the ones that got those first installments of those checks?
The white people.
The elderly.
The elderly, right?
No, they wasn't getting
What's
no
that?
checks. Hell no.
Who got the first stimulant checks?
It wasn't.
No.
All of that didn't matter. You know why? Because all while they was giving them stimulus checks, they gave the Asians reparations.
Okay,
Can
no.
you believe that?
Let's stay where we are. They gave those checks. And what did you do with those checks?
What do you mean? What did we do? Not everybody got a check.
I'm talking about those that got the checks. So
Everybody should have got a check.
No, everybody.
No, it depends on how much your
Everybody's
household
got
makes.
right. That PPL people got.
Not
I was
everybody.
about to say, if you got the PPL, you only got like $10,000 or something.
So
but there was people that was taking other people's social security and getting way more than.
All right, so try to follow me. So my point is, the people that was at risk was the people that received the checks, and the people that went out there and they did what? These people they got rid of their mask and they was out and about and they was shopping and they was living their best life. When they told you could die from this, but they gave you money, so you were supposed to do what with the money? And people didn't buy masks. They went out and did other things with their money.
They sure did.
Jewelry, clothes.
It was a mass shortage.
The money was given to put back. They gave you the money to go spend the money to keep the economy going.
Thank you, Bert. I'm glad you said that. But
you're supposed to go out and spend the money.
You were supposed to go out and spend the money, but people were supposed to be safe. Everybody
I try to bring a little light to the situation. It was a distraction, Uncle D. We were supposed to get reparations.
Well,
we was just having a goddamn riot in the streets because of George Floyd. Remember?
Well,
next thing you know, we got hit with a stimulus check. Everybody forgot everything, and then all the while they hitting us with a stimulus check, they giving the Asians reparations. That's crazy.
Okay, and this is all what happened during the pandemic, right? All right, so Kiana, you still with us?
Yes.
So we went from an epidemic to a pandemic, and what's the next step?
Well, we're gonna be in an endemic, which is 1 second. Let me just finish washing my hands in a second.
And that too, while Kiana's talking about washing her hands, how many people thought that was a new thing to do about washing your hands? When they went on TV and said you'll be less at risk if you wash your hands and stuff like that. Was that not something that we was taught when we was kids?
We was doing it, but we did it more than ever now. Cause I would go out in the hallway, touch a doorknob, rush back to my house and wash my hands. And listen, I mean, I caught COVID. It changed my whole world.
Tell them, Robert.
I didn't trust people then before getting it. I sure as hell don't trust you now.
So wait, let's stay there. Before Kiana reads the endemic definition, let's stay right there. Hold on for Kiana. So let's talk about that. How many people contracted the coronavirus?
I had it.
Patsy?
Gina had it. But she had a mild case of it, so yeah, she wasn't hospitalized or nothing for it.
Thank you, Jesus. Tanya, you said you had it?
Yeah. I was asymptomatic. We came from Virginia for a wedding, right?
Mm-hmm.
When as soon as we got back is when everything shut down from the pandemic. And I was telling Robert that we need to get tested. And he kept saying, girl, we ain't got no pandemic. We ain't got no COVID. I was like, you could be asymptomatic. You wouldn't even know if you had it. He kept saying, we ain't got it. And finally, I got sick and I went to the hospital. I was like, no, we're just going to get tested. Got tested and we both had COVID. And I said, see, I probably gave it to you. Because he lost, what happened, he lost his sense of smell and taste.
Oh. And you got the worst part of it.
No, I barely even felt it. That's why I was saying to him, I could have it. We need to go get tested. We didn't go get tested until he didn't have no sense of smell or taste.
Well, you know why he wanted to eat. That's why. That's what became more important. He wanted to enjoy his food.
Yeah.
So
I can tell you what happened, Uncle D. After all them college kids went to Miami and they was down there without the mask on and it was all partying on the beach and the government looked at that and they said, we're gonna have to call in the National Guard.
They was all down there partying with their stimulus checks, no mask on.
Next thing you know, they sprayed something in the air and everybody was sick.
Oh. Now, Keisha, you said that you got it?
I said Ronnie and Harmony had got it.
So those are the people. So that's how your house was affected. Sean, anybody in your circle, in your home, your family?
My mother had it twice.
Wow. And how was that for you guys?
It was scary. It was very scary, especially the second time wasn't as bad, but the first time it was rough because it was in the height of Corona, and when we first took her to the hospital, they kept sending her back home because they kept saying, she's just tired, she was overworking herself. And so although the hospital never said it, we believe that she had Corona.
Oh.
Sean, can I ask a question? At the time, was there testing available?
No, because it was in the very, very beginning.
Okay.
It was in the very, very beginning.
Okay.
So your mom's was one of the earliest cases of it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So again, it got real. It hit home.
Yeah, it very much so. I mean, like I said, by the time that we was learning more about it, we realized how
they need
grateful we were because like I said, they didn't say that's what she had. I believe they knew she had it, but because they didn't know how to deal with it or treat it at the time, they didn't say that that's what it was.
Like I told you.
All right. So Mia, you still with us? Because I want to get you in the conversation if you are.
Yes, something had to happen.
Keisha, you have to mute your phone.
He is no longer with us, big dog.
Sorry, Robbie.
You want me to go to the grocery store?
All right, so let me ask you, who else? Josie, you guys got Corona?
Absolutely. It hit us like a woo.
They sprayed something in the air.
It was crazy. It was like Rob. Okay.
Tell you can name names.
Let's start it off this way.
Okay, nephews, Robert, go ahead. You can give.
My nephews both was sick and didn't tell anybody. And I
wait a minute, I didn't get sick until after.
I'm telling the story. Jamal had it first.
Really my turn if you're not going to tell the truth.
Because I'm telling it the way Gregory and Jamal kept it quiet. Jamal had it first. I was talking to my nephew Gregory on the phone because I didn't know Jamal had it first to Gregory, and I'm telling me after I kept asking Gregory, I said, Gregory, every time I call you this week, you sound sick as a dog.
First
I said, you got Corona.
And them was the people in Miami.
Let me tell you what people did during the Corona season. A lot of people had it. They act like it was the most dirtiest germ to get. So when you say, are you sick with Corona? No, I don't got nothing. I got a cold, little cold, nose cold. Everyone was lying. That's why I said you can't trust people because they'll tell you that they didn't have it and they all had it.
So, okay, did you have it?
I had got it from my family and friends.
Nobody knew they were sick.
I know
until your back started hurting. Once your back started hurting, you knew you had COVID.
Really? So since people
COVID hurt your whole muscular system.
Right, so I just want to be clear about this because I just learned some alarming information about my family. So Gregory, did you say the young ladies was in Miami partying?
Then they come back from Mexico with some craziness. Y'all know what was
God.
going
Oh
on.
my God.
They
Puerto
came back,
Rico.
they was sick. The next thing you know, Mel was sick. He didn't tell nobody Thanksgiving he was sick. And then people got sick around Christmas and after Christmas.
No.
So I know that during this time, my mother implemented Lysol showers. So this was her peace of mind. She made sure that everybody that came into her house, there was a bottle, a can of Lysol sitting at the door, and they had to spray themselves with it. Like I don't know. I mean, it sounds crazy.
Listen,
No.
it's ironic, Uncle
It's
D,
not
that
any
they
worse
told
than
you.
what. Let me finish. It's not any worse than what the Donald suggested. They was taking like I said, Lysol showers and Lysol showers. And when I saw it taking place, I was like, what type of deviltry, what type of nonsense is this? And I knew I wasn't gonna do it. And then the next thing you know, I felt something hitting me. And I was appalled because I didn't sign up for that.
So do you think that's what might have had saved your mother for not getting COVID during that time?
I think that definitely did. Most of all, God was, like watching over her and stuff like that, because she was surrounded by a bunch of fools. So yeah, I think that's what took place. But
I did the same thing when people came in my door. I did a Lysol spray.
So you're telling me that you were spraying people down with Lysol too?
They probably went around, Dave. You don't know, from household to household, state to state, country to country. They all probably was doing something.
See, I'm gonna tell you something. People of color have always adapted in hard times and stuff like this. So again, this is not surprising. Y'all might have unknowingly came up with a deterrent to the coronavirus.
Listen, we got sick over here.
That it's on the can. It says something about that.
We got sick over
It's
here.
been on the can for the longest.
It wasn't just good enough to use.
I honestly was working all throughout the whole BF, and I was using Lysol cans everywhere. People come in, people leave, and for a long period of time, I did not, get it. But when Robert came over to Mummy's and laid on the couch, it was over for everyone.
And when did this happen?
Everyone.
This happened.
Gregory was already sick downstairs cooking on the George Foreman grill.
Robert, stop taking away from the fact that you are the one.
But I'm the only one that told that I might have it.
Maria
Your
said,
son and them wouldn't tell anybody.
I wasn't sick until my
Gregory,
back.
you were sick downstairs with Uncle D. That's how he got it. He was in the kitchen with you.
This, right? If you felt like Gregory had it, right? I was not sick at my house at all.
And I'm gonna tell you another thing. How I got it.
Let me finish.
All we had to do was be finish.
Timmy, let me finish. Once we came from Mummy's house, it was like a domino effect. We called one person, somebody was mad. Call the next person, somebody was mad. Call the next person. Oh, it was a whole domino effect. And then I was still not sick.
No.
Remember, Gregory, I was not sick until I might have been.
You wasn't sick until after I started getting better.
And then Gregory got sick in this house. And then I got sick. I was the last person. And I was so mad. I was mad. So
and that's what I was trying to tell you, Uncle Bro. I knew I was sick. When I was sick, I couldn't move. My body was so sore.
Exactly.
I'm gonna tell you one person that got me.
Being hard-headed.
One person got me and Gregory sick.
Oh, it can't happen to me. Oh, I'm not getting
Ain't nobody said nothing like that, Uncle T. Nobody knew what was gonna happen
and all that stuff. And then you got it. and then you wish like hell
Listen,
that you went and got that damn
I'm gonna tell you
vaccine.
how I
Hell
think
no.
this is how I think I really got corona, and that's why I don't mess with it no more. Marijuana. When I went to go get marijuana from a person that was already corona out and never told nobody to after, he had a serious case of corona
You
and never
you gotta
told
stop
nobody
saying
nothing.
longer.
And he dealt with G2 and everybody else and gave corona to
You think
everybody.
he was coughing in them bags of weed?
Yeah, he was touching it. It was all over our
Oh,
bags and stuff.
All
So
right,
we
so
yep,
caught
let
it
you
that
see
way.
that?
let's
Yep.
stop right there. Let's get another person's perspective. Duchess, you contracted corona. How was it with you?
It's very bad. I'm a long hauler, so
Explain that.
I'm going on year 2 in December of dealing with
You
the
ain't
after
got back
effects of
right.
corona. So
Right, you ain't got back right.
I'm sorry. No, I haven't. In the beginning, so it was right before they were just starting to give out the vaccine and to hospital personnel. And I think I was in maybe class B or class C because I wasn't patient facing. So I was patiently waiting and couldn't wait. But I have both people in my family, or more people than them, but people in my family are out and, they work with the public. So that never stopped. I never stopped working either. I was just working from home. So it came into my home. And again, I haven't been right since before Christmas of 2020.
So we're rapidly approaching the holiday season. What's your
Good
health
to
like
me.
right now?
Well, I mean, then my
Can
health
I-
is go ahead.
No, I was gonna say that's what I was trying to say earlier when you was trying to get your point across. For some reason, that holiday season, they told you this is
Yeah,
gonna be one of the deadliest
they
Because
did
holiday
say
they
that.
put
seasons
it out there.
ever, and then
You
everybody
didn't
got
you
sick.
didn't
So
listen.
I'm
Well,
They
telling
I
said
you,
mean,
everybody
well,
gonna
well,
be sick before Christmas, and
because
it was
You had a
true.
whole 10 months to know
well,
that
no,
it was going to be
it was
like that.
actually it was the Thanksgiving that
Yeah.
year
That's
that
where it
was the
started.
starter, and
thank
that
you,
was the
thank you.
beginning.
That's exactly.
So,
Yes, sir.
It changed.
So
It
but
changed.
the
Kiana
person,
answer the
but
question.
my husband was tested on a regular basis because he deals with the public. So it was
Right.
we were lucky to avoid it in all the shenanigans, but we did not escape that for that Christmas. So he's fine and I'm not.
So can I ask you something? All your faculties are back. I mean, you got your sense of smell, sense of taste.
I never
Every,
lost it.
oh,
I
so
never I never lost my sense of taste or smell ever. I never did. He
so
did,
what
I
are your
didn't.
what are your side effects? What are you
My
dealing with now?
symptoms were first for the beginning. I had a headache. I literally had a headache for a year and a half every day. Um, I had a headache. I have nerve issues.
Mm-hmm.
So, and that's still, like I said, ongoing.
So
And breathing issues. And again, they may never return to full capacity. Just don't know. There's not enough information.
no pun intended. I'm not
That
trying to
God
plug
is good to
myself.
me.
She just said she got nerve
God is good.
conditions. Wind Down Wednesday is just talking about nerve therapy. So I don't know. Maybe you might watch that. Maybe you don't. You might see a little bit
Well,
something that might can help you or not help
good
you.
to know.
And again,
I would be
God was
interested in
good to me.
and again,
any
and
treatment, that are useful. I mean, I've said to everyone else, I've had to be my own doctor in this situation because they don't know anything, and all they can really tell you is hopefully with time things will get better.
yes,
Did you
and the
do the
Yeah,
bill,
well, God
test
bless you.
with the
Yes.
pills
and
No, God
and the
bless her
spice?
because I feel what you're going through. My sister is going through some things too from this whole episode. So
Yep.
it's a lot. It's a
God is
lot.
good.
It took
God
a
is
toll
good.
on a lot of people.
all right, let's stay right there. Everybody's
The
saying
God
God
was
is.
good to me.
Wait.
See,
Everybody's
you know
saying.
why?
Wait.
Oh,
Hold on. Hold on 1
I'm gonna
second.
tell you right now, God has been good to me because
Hold on
I
one second.
know that things could have been very, very different, and he's been good to me.
All right,
So I will
so
not complain.
Timmy, 1 second, Timmy.
You know why I say God was good to me? Because he told me when I went to the hospital to go get my checkup, I said, I'm sitting there debating whether I'm going to get this vaccine or not. And then it hit me. I was like, man, what do you? He hit me and said, listen, you done got vaccine all your life. Which this one vaccine is not going to kill you. So you might as well get it. So I listened.
We gotta get you back out on the field, Uncle T. Back out to the field. Back out to the field.
Let's stay right there. So Sean, you still with us? Sean, turn your mic on.
Yes, I am.
All right, so Sean, what was happening on the front line? In the height of all this, church. What was that like there? Cause me, I tapped out as soon as they said that this was something that was serious and stuff like that. Like I basically I stopped. I took a leave of absence from church, and I think at one point our church was shut down. You brought it to my attention that we were shutting down.
Well, in the beginning, because it took us a while to open back up, and to be honest with you, we only opened as early as we did because people were starting to I'm trying to find the right word without using the word complain. But they was not happy about not being able. They wanted to get out of their house and they wanted to come back to church, but it took us a while because we weren't ready to be opened up because there was a lot of stuff that we needed to get to church. You know, all the equipment that you now see that we have now, we had to get all that stuff. And so when we started, we followed all the guidelines that the state said that we had to follow as far as how many people could be in the building, and we was making people register, and so it would be just a certain number of people each week.
And how did we determine who would be the congregation? Which members of the congregation would be allowed in?
Well, it was always first, like I said, you had to register. So what we tried to do we did the first come first serve, but what we was trying to do was making sure that even though certain ones may have registered from the week before, if there was new people, we was trying to determine who would be swapped out, if you will, because nobody knew that it was first come first serve. It was just that's just how we had to go about doing it.
So what was the steps you guys took to purify the air, keep it clean?
Well, we have the and I don't know the name of the solution or the machine that we actually use, but even to this day, after every service, we spray down, we clean, and then we spray down the whole entire building, even though we the majority of the people are in one area, but we spray down the whole entire building after every service, every event, every whatever that goes on in the building. And as far as we spaced out the seatings. We had we was doing the social distancing thing. We have hand sanitizer stations in about 4 or 5 different corners throughout the sanctuary, as well as when you first walk in. And we was doing to this day, we're still doing the temperature and mask wearing, because we're still keeping the check, if you will.
Yeah.
And as you should, because this time of year when people are more inside, the numbers are going, well, they're already increasing, but they will increase even more, especially with the holidays coming. We're going to have some spikes. So that's a good practice.
And Key, go ahead and student show.
You got the name. The flu season definitely is in
In
action
effect.
already.
Yes. I mean, the flu season
So
started early this year because of the lack
right.
of mask wearing and things being open and people not really caring as much or being as conscious and aware of what was going on.
Right.
So what did you want me to answer?
Sean,
The
so wait,
endemic?
I wanted Sean to finish his
Oh, sorry, go Sean, go
and then
ahead.
I'll go back to you, King.
Yeah, I think that was pretty much it. I mean, like I said, from when we first, the same practices that we're doing that we did when we first opened up, we're still following those, except for we've increased the number of people that we're allowing into the sanctuary. But we're still, like I said, we're still doing the mass. We have we don't have all the chairs in the sanctuary, but we have them like they're spaced out but sectioned off, if you will. Like certain sections may have, because of how our congregation is, like family wise. That oh yeah, I'm sorry, I'm a backtrack. When we first started with letting people in, you had when you registered and you had to let us know how many people you was bringing with you, because that's who we would sit you with. And so that's almost sort of like how we're still doing it now. Like if you come in with four, have a section that has, four seats, 5 seats, 3 seats, one, whatever. I mean, there's we still have it. We're still following the COVID protocol.
Shout out to the Mount Olive Kingdom builders and shout out to our beloved bishop, because the people we take the people at that church take things seriously, and they didn't just open back up because everybody else was doing it.
Right.
They opened back up when it was safe to do so, and they put the necessary precautionary measures in place. So shout out to them, because in times of need and uncertainty, people turn to the church. So it's good to get good leadership. So the shepherd of that flock made sure there was things in place, and the people were eager to return to a place of what they figure is safety from the storm, shelter from the storm. So go ahead.
I'm not agreeing with you.
Gianna, you want to hit us with that definition for endemic?
Okay. Yep. Sorry, I lost it, but I'll bring it right back. Okay. What does an endemic mean? A disease or outbreak is an endemic when it is consistently present but limited to a particular region. This makes the disease spread in rates predictable. Malaria, for example, is considered an endemic in certain countries and regions. So basically, an endemic means we are never going to be rid of Corona-19, and that it's always going to be with us, and it's probably going to follow a pattern as it has, more seasonal, perhaps like the breakouts during the holidays when it gets cold. And we'll see, but we're never going to be fully coronavirus free. Well, we are. There are already coronaviruses already, but I mean coronavirus 19.
Kind of what I said earlier. It's going to come on a list as the flu or the common cold.
So let me ask you guys, because
you're gonna have to get vaccines.
With that, we're still getting different variants because it's still mutating.
It's still mutating. That's correct.
And a lot of you guys work in the human service field, on medical and on front line doing things like that. I know a lot of you are. So because of that, how many of you guys are still wearing masks?
I am.
I am.
I always wear a mask, and I don't work I don't actually work in the hospital, but
I wear mine.
I wear mine
I wear a
everywhere.
mask in the stores,
everywhere.
I don't always wear my mask, but I do wear it at work now.
I wear my mask every day. You have to at my job. Everybody.
and they should, but I'm gonna tell you this, and I'm guilty of this. So as the company that I keep and stuff, because when I'm around my family, I take off my mask. But at one point, I had the mindset, I was protecting myself from them and against them. I was protecting them and myself by having my mask on. But then it came to me. I had this theory. So it's like when I'm riding with these people in the car with my family members, and I'm going out, I'm doing things with them, and I got my mask on. As soon as I take my mask off, I'm exposed to everything and anything that they've been exposed to. So even when we go, like the whole idea of the restaurant, I don't know about everybody else, but when I go into a restaurant, I have my mask on with
Me
entering.
too.
And when we get to our table, we take our mask off. But see,
And there you go. That quick
That's
second.
here is
that.
where.
See, I'm the opposite. I will sit at the table until the waitress comes around to
Yes,
ask for
ma'am.
something, and if she can't hear me,
Yeah.
then I will take my mask off. I will put it back on until my food comes on. I mean, I just did that on Sunday.
But that's
Like
I
I
do.
know,
Yeah.
and again, I was probably the only person in there with a mask,
see,
but I don't
That's right.
care.
and doesn't it?
That doesn't matter if the people in the back cooking your food ain't wearing masks. So
I'm about to tell
none
you.
of that matters.
And I was about to
You can
tell
sit
you,
in
and
the
then you take
restaurant
your
all you want.
then I'm about to tell you, then you take your mask off to eat. You're eating
That's
for
what
I don't
about
even want to go to the
15,
restaurant.
15 minutes, 20 minutes. You're enjoying your meal. The people next door to you on the other tables, they don't have a mask on either, and they're over there.
Oh, see, that's when
And
I'll
what
ask for
about
another
them
table.
doctors
I'll
that
get up.
said the masks don't work? They
Well,
said they
that's
don't
not
work.
true. If
The
you wear a
particles
That's
mask
get
and
not
I
you.
wear
true.
a
See,
mask, we both protect each other. That's not true. Don't go into the
if the
theory
mask
of
didn't
if
work,
the mask didn't work, why do people in the hospital wear a mask when they do surgery, when you have a
that's
cold?
what I was getting ready to say.
I'm going to
That's
disagree.
exactly what I'm getting ready to say.
I'm going to
So
disagree.
some of these things again, what
My
we're saying
godson, the
is,
conspiracist.
it's
That is
Nah,
not
you
true.
know why
That's
they said
what
they
it
want us
is,
to wear the
CIA.
mask
That
though? Because it
conspiracy
lowers our
nonsense.
lifespan.
so let me
Because
say
you're
this to you.
breathing in carbon dioxide through the
We
mask
do
the whole
know
That
time.
is not true either.
so listen, we do know this. One thing that is certain, if you don't wear these masks, you're more at risk, right? That's been proven, right? That seems to be the only effective measure next to becoming vaccinated. But again, I still know that there are people, family, friends, foes, people, neighbors, and stuff that still have just simply said F the vaccines. They're not taking them. They don't believe in them. They don't trust the government and stuff like this. But the one thing you can trust, if you don't protect yourself, you're gonna catch it, and you're probably gonna be more susceptible to it than the people that have been vaccinated. That is what they've proven to be true. Am I correct?
That's
But that
whole
didn't
point of
prove
getting
to be
vaccinated.
true. That don't make no sense.
Well, okay. Again, here's a field proof test experiment, right? For all of us that don't believe that the vaccine and stuff don't work, go and get the vaccine and let's see how it changes your life.
I know it works. That's why I
No.
didn't get sick.
I
So
know people that got the
I
vaccine and
know it
said their
works.
arm hasn't
But
felt the
if you
same
feel
ever.
like
But they have,
it's
sorry, what did you say, Gregory? They
It
got the vaccine and
affects
what?
everybody
They
differently.
got the vaccine, and the arm that they got the vaccine in, they still feel funny in that arm to this day. And I know
Now,
multiple
I
people
will
that said that.
question, did they move their, because when you get a vaccine, people tend to not move their arm and stiffen their muscles. So do you need to be constantly moving that limb so that you don't have that problem?
Exactly.
And
I think
also
different
they should,
medications
Those was the
get
most
different
Now,
effects.
terrible shots.
That
My
Moderna
arm was
was the
so
best. The
sore.
first one that you should have got was the Moderna. That was the
that's
first
what I
known one.
got.
Everything
Moderna.
else,
I
the
got
Pfizer,
Pfizer and
lowered your percentage. You were still, more susceptible. Doesn't mean you got the vaccine. Doesn't mean you can't get the virus.
you're not
Right.
immune.
All it does is
Exactly. You
eliminate
just
you
don't
from
get
being
sick.
able to spread it. You will
Well,
get
And
sick. You
being
will get
real
no,
corona,
sick.
it
but
also
you
eliminates you
with the
being as sick
vaccine,
as you can be. Like
Right.
like
but
the
you
people who
can't
didn't have it
spread it.
at all, like myself before when it
Exactly.
first came out. I mean, I'm a test. So I got it that Christmas. My son got only one vaccine He didn't even have the full dose, and he got it the next Christmas. And I know for a fact that he did not get he has asthma, so it could have been way worse. He wasn't sick as long and as bad as he could have had I not told him to get that first. Well, he should have gotten all of the series, but the vaccine in the first place. And so as soon as he was able to, he got it the second one.
So I will say this, guys, to everybody in attendance, right? The one thing we can all agree upon is this is real. The COVID virus is real. Am I correct in saying this?
Yes.
It does not discriminate. It don't matter what race you are. Don't matter what type of economic status you are categorized as. It doesn't matter where you come from. Anybody is susceptible to it, right?
Yeah.
Right.
The other thing we can agree upon is the vaccines are questionable, to say the least. Can we agree upon that?
Questionable?
But depending on what you believe, it's questionable.
Okay.
So to say that,
no, I feel like that your thoughts about the vaccine are questionable. The facts about the vaccine are not.
All right, tomato. People
no.
Tomato. Again, attitude equals aptitude. If you think a certain way, you're going to behave a certain way. So if these people feel like it don't work, then that's how they're going to behave when it comes time to make that decision to go and put into play. So again, now, one thing we know for certain is if you out there, you Corona crusaders, the people that want to go out there and seek it out, it's there, it's waiting.
I'm young.
And
it's there.
It damn sure is there.
It's waiting, and we know it has touched each of our homes, as we heard, in some shape or form. You either got it or you know somebody that was affected by it. The one thing for sure is you don't want to get it. I don't care what level, what capacity, you don't want it.
You don't.
Exactly. That shit ain't no fake news.
Nope.
You
better say it, Patsy.
And on that note, we gonna end this. This has been Still a Man podcast show. Thank you for joining us. See you next week.